Hi there, Heba. So, another set of essays. Great. Let's take a look at what you did here. Okay, this is the one about marriage and childbirth. Let's see what you had to say. Okay. Experts throughout both the developing and developed world have debated whether people should get married and have children early or late in their lifehood. Just life, okay? Some believe that early marriage and giving birth before the third decade of life is a beneficial and positive trend. Personally, I strongly disagree. Okay, now what you need here is, because you have two ideas that contrast with each other, is you need to have a linking device which does the contrasting. So something like however. Okay, so it should say, however, personally, I strongly disagree. This essay will discuss both sides using examples from Harvard University and UK government to demonstrate points and prove arguments. Okay, so that's fine. On the one hand, it is often believed that early marriage and having children is the most common and acceptable approach in multiple nations. This is simply because if we encouraged late marriage and giving birth, a significant between generations would occur. You're missing a word here. It should say a significant gap. This may lead to the difficulty of the communication. All right, let's clean this up just a little bit. Rather than having all these heavy prepositional phrases, this may lead to the difficulty of the communication. It should just be, this may lead to communication difficulties between parents and offspring. Okay? It just makes it so much cleaner and easier to read. Consistent with this line of thinking, you don't need a comma there. Consistent with this line of thinking is that babies born at an older age. Okay, babies are not born at an older age. They are born to older mothers. All right, so careful. Babies are born babies, okay? So, babies born to older mothers could be less physically healthy. Okay, hold on a second. Let me read this again. Okay, I think my issue here is with this. Consistent with this line of thinking is not the appropriate linking device here. You could have just said something like, also worth mentioning, okay? Because you're introducing a new point, which is different, though. These are not similar ideas, okay? So I don't really agree with this as the connection here. All right, so for instance, recent research studies. Okay, just decide, is it research or is it studies? So it should just say recent research or recent studies. But Harvard University concluded that pregnant women above the age of 35 years are 3 times more exposed to anomalies, prematurity, and even death. Again, there's some wrong vocabulary here. The women are not exposed to, the pregnant women are not exposed to these things. It's their babies which are at higher risk. Okay, so let's try it again. So pregnant women above the age of 35, okay, are 3 times more likely to have babies with anomaly, premature birth, or even death. Okay, well, you won't have a baby with death, but I think you understand what I'm trying to say. So there's something missing here that would make the sentence make more sense, okay? Okay. Consequently, it is possible to state beyond death that late marriage and having children in the third decade of life could not be enacted or generalized to all communities and individuals. Okay, now 2 other things we have to fix here. The third year of life is your third decade of life is your 20s. So that's not what you mean here. You mean the 4th decade of life. Okay? Also, enacted is the wrong word here. So in general, we've got a lot of problems with vocabulary and some missing phrases that create a lack of coherence. Okay? Let's move on. On the other hand, there's ample evidence that late marriage and having children in the 4th decade, I'm going to say it again, of life are benefiting. You should say beneficial, because when there's an adjective, use it over the ing. To both families and societies. The main reason for believing this is that most young couples tend to dedicate their time, effort, and money for career establishment and financial goals. For example, recent empirical research about the UK government statistics demonstrated that almost 80% of the younger generations accomplish their main career targets in the late 20%. I think you mean S. Moreover, those generations are more financially stable and secure to support their future families. It is conclusively clear that mature generations could be considered more eligible to get married and have children. Okay, fine. To sum up from the arguments and examples given, I firmly believe that although getting married and giving birth early in life has actually multiple merits, there is no practical evidence to support such a trend in our modern society. I strongly believe that marriage and giving birth should be encouraged at a later stage of life. It is predicted, capital I, starting a marital, not a martial. All right, martial is something totally different. It has to do with the war. Starting a marital life at a later stage in life will increasingly grow in importance. Okay, so I want to go back to this paragraph. Here, you mentioned, you mentioned the word marriage once, and then here, late marriage, but you just mentioned it. You didn't talk about it at all. Your whole paragraph was about babies and having babies at a later age. So that was something missing for me. You only mentioned the words married and getting married, but that was it. You never actually explored that. So that for me was a little problematic, okay? Let's see. And here, you basically talk about finances and so forth and so forth. All right, well, that's fine. But the previous paragraph was definitely underdeveloped in terms of marriage and what the benefits or disadvantages to getting married in your 30s might be, okay? So that's something that was missing for me. But just as important was a lot of these phrases that just were incoherent. You were saying the wrong thing. You meant one thing, but you wrote something else. So that was a little difficult. Let's look at this lovely rainfall line graph. The shown line graphs demonstrate the amount of rainfall in ml in 3 European countries in 2018. Overall, it can be clearly seen that there was considerable fluctuations of rainfall amounts in England, Scotland, and Wales throughout the year. In addition, England experienced the largest amount of rainfall, not fall, by the end of the period. Okay, fine. From January to July, that's very long. Let's see, from January to July, January to July, okay. Scotland and Wales experienced significant changes in the amount of rainfall. Okay, full stop in the new sentence. The figures in Wales show 2 peaks of rainfall amounts. Rainfall is one word. In May and June, with amounts of around 110 and 140 respectively. Similarly, Scotland's apostrophe S rainfall figures, no apostrophe, peaked in March with amounts reaching around 140 ml and another peak of rainfall in July of around 120. In contrast, England's apostrophe S rainfall showed fairly the same amounts with mild fluctuations and experienced a peak of 135 in July. As from, alright, well, I don't know why you have as here. I would have just said, from August to December, Scotland and England experienced similar fluctuations in the amounts of rain from almost 70 ml to 140. Okay. However, in November, England witnessed a gradual rise in rainfall amounts till December, whereas Scotland's apostrophe S rainfall figures dropped sharply in November, after which there was a sudden surge in amounts of more than 100 ml. As regards Wales, the amounts of rainfall decreased dramatically to less than 50 ml in August. Next, the figure stabilized till October, and after which their amounts rose to around 110 ml, then declined abruptly to almost 50. Okay, well, it's pretty detailed. I didn't try to draw it, but I feel like I probably could because you gave a lot of information. I didn't do a word count, although I do feel like this was rather lengthy. So I have 2 questions for you. Number 1, what is the word count of this? And then number 2, how long did it take you? Now, essentially, you had 36 pieces of information here. And I think you did a pretty good job of selecting. Again, I have to kind of plot it out according to the graph. But I felt pretty good that you had nice representative data. All right, go ahead and correct these tasks, both of them for us. Add to your error correction list and send us a new set of essays, okay? Keep it up. Keep up your momentum now that you've started again, and I look forward to seeing more of your essays. Good luck.